We are folklorists, and we're here to talk to you about folklore. Why is folklore important in today's day and age? These are behaviors that we engage in, even though we spend a lot of our time interconnected, online, on the web. These traditional behaviors are still engaged in today. So today, we're going to talk about legends. Now, I know when you hear legends, the first thing you think of is a bunch of bards sitting around a fire, talking about King Arthur, playing their harps, perhaps talking about Greek heroes or something. And while that is great and that is fine, and yes, that is also really cool and awesome, however, people still tell legends today. They tell modern legends. I'm going to talk about urban legends, contemporary legends, and my colleague is going to talk about
ghost stories.
So here we go.
Welcome to Folk U.
Urban legends. Urban legends don't just take place in cities. They're a name that we've given as scholars to contemporary stories. What, you may ask, is an urban legend? Well, I will tell you. An urban legend is a plausible but far-fetched story set in modern times and told as true that reveals common social concerns. You might call it folk news. So why is folk news important? Well, we used to tell these face-to-face, and then we started spreading them via email all the time. How many forwards have I gotten from various relatives of mine who are concerned because if I go to a shopping mall, some guy might be hiding under my car because a guy hides under the car at the local mall and slashes women's Achilles heel tendons and then murders and rapes them. I've had this localized, that people have told me that this takes place in Detroit, that this takes place in Los Angeles, that this takes place usually one town away. And always people tell me that they know somebody who knows somebody that it happened to. These stories are cautionary tales. They tell us things we should be worried about or concerned about, which is why our parents often forward them to us. So, what are the hallmarks of an urban legend? The hallmarks of an urban legend are they are told as true. Whether the teller believes it, whether the hero believes it, doesn't matter. They're told as true. They don't start once upon a time in a shopping mall in Glendale, California. No, they're told as a true story. So that makes them legitimate. Number two, what makes them sound legitimate? What makes them sound plausible? Well, they are attributed to what we call a foef, a friend of a friend. So therefore, I say, no, I swear, this is true. This happened to my sister's friend's boyfriend. He told me about this. And then I tell you the story. So I have legitimized it for you. I've said, this is true. This is important. What else is a hallmark of an urban legend? Well, it reveals some common social concern or worry. If you analyze it in a symbolic way, it tells you what we're worried about. It tells you our public opinion. It tells you about ideas that we're going to cling on to even if someone tells me that they're not true, because I know it just has to be true. It sounds so plausible. The reason why it sounds plausible is because it's reflecting these current social concerns. And these stories are traditional. They have motifs that we can identify. Things like the vanishing hitchhiker, which was told back in the 1700s about somebody who got into a horse-drawn carriage, and it's also been told about someone that someone picks up today on the roadside, and she asks for a ride home, and he drops her off, and later finds out he dropped her off at a cemetery. She disappeared. This has been told for hundreds of years. So it's traditional. And we find them important because it lets us analyze the society that tells them. So, they also come in legend cycles, just like there's all those stories about King Arthur, remember him? But there's also cycles of modern legends. Some of these cycles include contaminated food. I have heard legends about that we call the Kentucky Fried Rat syndrome. This has been told for several decades. A couple, I swear to God, this totally happened one town away from me in California. It happened to my friend's neighbor's brother. He and his girlfriend were going to the movie theater, and they decided to grab a quick bite to eat or something, and so they grabbed some Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they went and they were eating it in the dark, and what happens? She starts completely choking. They have to take her outside. They have to call the paramedics. Oh my gosh, she's dead. Why? They look in the bucket. There was half a rat in there that she was eating. So why is this important? Not because you can say, oh, that's a stupid story, that never happened. Because we are really worried about our changing eating patterns. We don't know who's cooking our food anymore. It used to be Grandma who loved us and who was concerned about us. Now it's somebody working for minimum wage and we don't know what they think of us. We're worried about this. I've had students tell me stories about going into Jack in the Box, a California chain, and ordering a chicken sandwich with no mayonnaise. Oh my gosh, he bit into it. There's mayonnaise on it. How disgusting. He opens it up and finds out it is a pus bubble on this chicken thing. Contaminated food. Because we don't trust the people who make it. That's why we tell these. We find them plausible. Or people tell stories about spitting on hamburgers and all that kind of stuff. Just last week, one of my wonderful first-year students told me an urban legend set here at Champlain in this same cycle of contaminated food. What was it? He told me he knew for sure, and he knows this because his brother knows somebody who works at the people who supply the food to our cafeteria. So there was a FOF, right? And he told it it's true. He said, and he totally believes it. He said, they are putting baby laxative in our cafeteria food. And I said, really? And of course you think of it and you say, well, why would anybody find this plausible? Why do we find this plausible? Oh my gosh, you're away from home. Who is cooking for you? Who knows who those people are? Two, oh my gosh, my body is reacting to different kinds of foods. It must be because someone is doctoring my food. Why else do we find it plausible? Oh my gosh, we have heard stories of people cutting heroin and cocaine with baby laxative. Why not cafeteria food? So we find these things plausible. Sometimes we tell them as rumors, which are like solidified legends with no story attached. They're just the nugget or the kernel of a rumor. It can pop into a rumor, but it might, a legend, but it might just be a rumor. Things like Barack Obama was not born in this country. Things like Lady Gaga is a man. So these are things that we're passing around. However, because we don't talk so much in emails anymore, because we tweet, and because we text each other, sometimes these stories are not being told as stories anymore, and rumors have become more popular. These kernels of stories, these nuggets of stories, might be how we're passing them now. And maybe we only elaborate them when we talk to each other. Okay.